What's up? It's Tommy Green. You're listening to the Rev Talks podcast, brought to you by theREVgatehrings, digital tribe of up-and-comers, emerging leaders, doing our best to keep in step as the face of the church changes in our generation. If this is your first time checking out the podcast, welcome home. If you are a returning visitor, hiya. Feel free to subscribe, share it around, give us a 5-star review. Tell somebody. If you like what you hear, please let us know. You can reach out to us at theREVgatehrings.com. Feel free to email us at theREVgatehrings@gmail.com. Hope you enjoy the episode. See you on the other side. Well, hi.
Hi. Sorry, it's a mess.
Levitical priesthood. Welcome to the Rev Talks podcast. Okay, so catch me up though. What the heck is going on in New Mexico, bro?
The same nothing that's going on in the entire world, brah. It's nothing. Nothing. I've been busy. Like I'm still working on I'm putting out a Levi the Poet book soon. So I've been working a ton on that, which has been cool. Hasn't been as cool to not be able to book any dates that go with it. But me and Brandy are doing good. Like, she's working at a CrossFit gym in Albuquerque. I'm running with my dog a lot.
Love it.
We just had a new housemate move into our place for what'll probably be a year. And that's cool. And she's rad. And so, yeah, man, I mean, we just seen a lot of my family. My sister had a second child. Her name is Scout, and she's beautiful. So gotten to see her and go on foothill walks. I don't know.
That's awesome.
How about you?
Well, no, like so just in general, what sort of happened for you since kind of COVID? Well, actually, how about this? For people that don't know who you are, who are you? What do you do? And then what aren't you doing since the Corona camp started?
My name is Levi McAllister Morgan. Levi Morgan McAllister.
Levitical priesthood. That's your name.
Levitical, yeah. For the last 10 years in Tommy's mind, my name is Levitical priesthood, and that's just all that it is. So it's not exactly like a shortened name, like some people call Tommy Tom because it's shorter. Tommy decided, we're going to spread this one out. It's going to be Levitical priesthood all the way through.
I'm in no hurry.
Yeah, no hurry. That's good. That's good. I got to learn how to slow down a bit, And I do a project called Levi the Poet, and I've done that since 2009. And that's the living, and also the love. And sometimes that's annoying that they're both one and the same. And, since COVID, so I actually just talked to the My Epic guy. They have this podcast going, and we talked a little while ago. Like, the COVID thing for me, it threw off a ton of plans, but it didn't throw off a ton of already created plans. And it felt a little bit more like the working from home thing felt a little bit more normal to me than a lot of people that were still going super hard at the end of 2019. We played Festival 1 at the beginning of 2019, and then I did one other show up in upstate New York that I do every year. And that was like it for all of last year. I took the year off, and I did a bunch of client work and just needed a break from being constantly on the road. So, but I was planning on getting back to it this year. So that's the second part of the question is I'm putting out a book. I've been working on that for the last 8 months or so. And it's actually printing just started yesterday, which I'm super excited about. So the plan for this year was to get back out on the road more and promote that. And I'm just having to figure out different ways of doing it. Might do some Zoom shows and things like that in the second half of the year and try to figure that out. But so, yeah, I mean, it's I wasn't a person who was working a 9 to 5 and then had to figure out how to do that remotely. I just have been doing everything very remotely for a decade. Yeah. But I was also more used to being able to like get out of this house that I'm living and working in and have a little bit of a mental break. And that's been we've been pretty shut down. I don't know how it is in Salt Lake, but it's been pretty, well, our governor is like one of the strictest in the states about what folks can and can't do and things like that. So it's been more difficult for me than it has been for Brandy, because Brandy is an introvert and she's loved it and been really refreshed. And I've been like, oh God, I got to be around some people. Please get me out of here. So I think that's one of the reasons why I'm excited about having this housemate. It's like, why'd you invite this random person in your house? Like, I just need a friend.
I just need someone to talk to, please.
Yeah.
The illusion of community in any way.
That's it. So
I am not the Trinity.
What about you? What has life been like for you?
Dude, it's been crazy. I'm trying to think. I got asked by my homie Felicia Murrell, who's in Atlanta today. She's like she's like kind of a writer. Her and her husband do a whole bunch of nonprofit work and stuff like that. But she hit me up and she said, how's it going? And I said, what are you and Chrissy up to? Or she said, what are you and Chrissy up to? And I said, well, it's Corona camp. Tragedy and triumph all at the same time.
Yeah.
Parenting. Amos 5 and a loss of faith all at the same time. Like everything about it is like growing and expanding and dying. So I'm trying to think of like what.
Die before you die, man.
Dude. So, okay.
That was my morning. That was the reading and all of the things. Die before you die. So I think for Chris and me, I think the great frontier for my brain, like the type of extrovert that I am, is the one type of extrovert that needs the most recharge time. So I can like own a room and then I like bookworm for, and so it's weird because I can be on, but I do really well with like my own space and time. But a lot of times people don't see that because they've only ever seen the like, hey, crazy hyperactive human. So it's been wild because like you said, like our kids are here. They started, homeschooling and stuff. And so I've done well in a bunch of areas. And then I've just like collapsed in on myself a few times, just being like, holy smokes. Like I love these people that God has uniquely given to me. And oh my God, I need help. Like I don't enjoy this right now and I don't know what to do. And then it's like I say with anything, the church or life or destiny or whatever, it's like, not only is the train that we're on moving, but like the planet is spinning too. So there's this like personal and then there's like global pressure that's happening. Yeah. So I think that's where I've just been like, But then in general, like, Chrissy and me, I think we've gone through like a whole lot of personal loss in the last 2 years specifically. And so I would say, my brother in 2018 was wild. And then we had the first of what has now become 4 miscarriages in the last like 2 years. So it's just been heavy, bro. So I think in a lot of ways, what's cool about it is that Chrissy Green has gotten a crazy cat that she likes called a Maine Coon. That's like, hell yeah. That's like Brandy's dream cat.
Dude. So that's a thing. And then Chrissy also got a poodle.
Okay.
And her name is Sunny, otherwise known as Sunny Day Real Estate. I'm just joking, but that's what I call her. So, and Fluffy.
Oh, you call her Sunny Day Real Estate. It's like a Levitical priesthood thing.
I just went long.
Just make it longer. Why is it so short? Why is the name so short?
My journey is to not get into her. So what I was going to say is, I'm the extrovert that I just need I love solitude as well. And so it's been interesting because I think the great frontier for me is to enjoy silence. And so that's where I feel like I've been trying to learn,
Yeah, very much.
So that's like my thing. So me and Chris have been trying to do these like kind of more of like an interior life kind of, almost like Lectio Divina, like just one phrase or something. This is the day the Lord has made, and that's it. Or be still and know. Or today today actually was about paradox, which I thought was really good, like seeming opposites. And the meditation was, when I am weak, then I am strong. And
what's the meditation that you're doing? Or what is there like a book?
No, Chrissy pulls up these videos, and of course it's some girl with an Australian accent, so it sounds awesome. It would be cooler if it was like an Irish person, but
it's got to be an Australian girl in yoga pants. That's what it's got to be.
Yeah, if you find your mind wandering, that's okay. I'm like, oh, it is okay. It feels even more okay.
I mean, it's true. If you're listening to a voice that sounds like that, it truly is okay, though. That's how you know. It's great. It's like, it is that way for a reason.
It's like, if you find your mind wandering, you should stop.
It's why the Headspace guy doesn't sound like me. He can't sound like me. It won't be relaxing.
Breathe. Just breathe. Take a second. Yeah. Slow down. It's over. It's over.
It's over.
So, I think that's
good.
The thing, man. But
I'm doing the same thing. A lot of interior work, or like a lot of like, just like trying to figure out whatever it means to have a contemplative, meditative practice that actually is longer than 10 minutes of my day too,
I do good with 7-minute. I suck at 20-minute. I find myself like, I know where the musical notes are in their background, and I'm like, yes, we're coming to the last stand. It dropped in key. Cool. I can get back where I was before.
In the Headspace world, it's always when they say, okay, now stop focusing and let your mind be free, that cool, this is almost over. I'm finally there. I made it to the end.
Finally be free of this. God, what are we gonna wear? You know what? Those shoes looked awesome online. I should buy those. That's
like, oh, cool. I can stop. I can. You know what's funny though, and maybe this is the point for me. The opposite. It'll be like my mind is wandering while I'm trying to focus on all of this stuff, and then they'll say, "Okay, be free," and then my mind goes blank, and it's like, why hasn't this been the case for the whole time?
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. Well, so let me ask you this, because it's your universe. Have you? And I'm saying this just generally. I don't know what I don't know, but. Have you gone to like see Richard Rohr? Mm-hmm. Isn't he out where you are?
Yeah.
What's that place like?
Center for Action and Contemplation. It's very quaint and humble and beautiful, and so I don't know exactly. Do you remember Corey from Come and Live?
Yes.
He's working there. He's like doing all of their media and communication stuff.
He edited my acoustic record.
Oh, cool.
He did all of that with the white flag. So that's how I actually know him. Other than that, it's like, what's up? So
totally. So he's out here. I actually have only seen him once when Joel was in town. We all got together and had a beer. But then the following morning, so every morning they do like a 20-minute sit. And it's actually open to the public, but they don't advertise that. So almost no one goes, and you just kind of go and you sit in this room in office chairs. So we went and did that. And then Rohr came in with his dog, and it was really funny because he like came in, he had this like singing bell, rang it. We all sat there for 20 minutes. Then at the end, he reads a passage from the Gospels. And that one, I forget. It was like the parable of the, it was some financial parable, okay? And then at the very end of it, like he had no commentary whatsoever. And then at the very end of it, he just kind of looked up and cleared his throat, and he's like, well, try explaining that one to the capitalists. And he just laughed, and then he got up and walked out. And that was the end of it. It was just like such a funny moment that I could it was just like his joke, his mic drop before he left. But and so that was like I want to say it was probably like where this I might completely botch this if somebody else knows better, but school center. And then a little bit down the way, you can kind of walk to this garden, and they've got a bookstore, and there's like a prayer circle, prayer path, a labyrinth. And I eventually get there, and it's just really nice, you know? And the book that I'm going through right now is called Just This, and it's a Rohr book. And there, I want to say it's like the entirety of all of the things that he's done, sort of condensed and summarized into the main kind of crux of his teachings and things like that. So it's been, I don't know, it's just been really good to go through. It's really little. The daily readings, well, they aren't even broken up that way. That's just how I'm doing them, and they're all like 4 paragraphs long. I mean, I feel like even this morning I was trying to figure out, like, how do I read things and do things and feed myself without just treating it like a checklist where I'm like plowing through a bunch of stuff to be able to tell myself that I did it or have something to show for it. So I too have been trying to slow down on all fronts, I guess. And I think it's been really difficult for me, but it's been really good for me too, to just sit with those sort of mantras or whatever else that you're talking about, you and Chrissy kind of doing, you know?
Yeah. I wonder a little bit about treating, because I think that's a good question. I think a lot of people talk about their prayer life. Yeah. Like, I have to pray every day.
Yeah.
I've got it. I was saying this just because of the fury that I had at kind of the whole world and at easy answer Christianity and myself. I had such deep bad stuff happening after Connor died that I remember I remember just saying, I'm better with Jesus weekly than I am daily.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like if I try to do the I read a passage of scripture today.
Yeah.
And then I wrote down something. Like, I don't treat any other relationship in my life like that. No. So then I was like, oh my God. Like, so I think to answer your question that you were asking yourself, I wonder if you just treat the reading stuff as like food for thought.
Yeah.
That way it gives you permission the rest of the day to think. Because otherwise I feel like it'll just be like checklist of intimacy with God or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, Totally. I mean, I kind of moved away, I think, from, well, the sort of like perfectionistic, really rigid and structural side of me still wants all of those things and like feels better and feeds my ego and all of that type of stuff by saying, oh yeah, I did this today. And I put the checklist in the app that I'm using. So I know that I've done that, you know, and, but then there's another part of me that's like the soul part that really wants to actually feel like this relationship is substantial with depth and going a place and changing me, that had to start looking at things that way. And basically, what up?
My son is letting me know that we have a short period of time, and then he's got a video call with his friend. But
dang. Well, he's got a dope Ravenclaw shirt. That feels like a Ravenclaw thing to say.
It is a Ravenclaw shirt. Say Ravenclaw. Look at that. Show Levi your Ravenclaw shirt.
Let's see it.
He's got it.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I'm a Hufflepuff, so I think we're at odds with one another, but...
Oh, snap, dude.
It's okay.
I'll be out of it.
So anyway, all that to say, it's just like I had to drop a lot of the checklist thing. It was more like feeding my own pride than it was doing anything healthy for me.
Even in the discipline of it? Just in having a daily...
No, like
is it a daily practice, or was it just you being insecure? Really?
Well,
Are you being too hard on yourself?
I think it's more this. I think it's because I still do. I actually I find a lot of health in actual like disciplined practice, but it was more like Honestly, I think so many things in my life I've realized have come down to like what's extrinsically versus intrinsically motivated. And I think that a lot of like my default mode is I need to accomplish this so that I can then let someone else know that I've accomplished this or that I'm like doing the right stuff. As opposed to, so maybe it's not a question of like discipline or doing it every day. Cause I definitely have, in a lot of ways, kind of like formalized a daily practice for myself, but it's one that I feel like actually fits me as opposed to one that's like prescribed because that's the thing that I'm supposed to be doing according to the prescribing person.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Totally.
And so in that way, it's almost more structural than anything that I've had in the past, but it's something that I look forward to because it's something that I'm in the process of developing for myself that I actually feel is like healing or helpful or I've done a lot because I think that other people want me to do a lot. I'm trying to learn how to just give myself the permission to do what I think is actually good to do.
What's a discipline that you didn't know was a discipline that you're finding out is actually a discipline now? In the healthy way, but like, what's the thing where you're like, yeah, it's like, that's an actual like discipline. You have to learn how to do that. And I didn't know you have to learn how to do that.
Yeah. Well, the first thing that comes to mind is just like, and I'm still very much not great at this. So I get insecure when I talk about the things I'm learning at the same time as I'm very painstakingly learning them, you know, but like planning fun or planning something that's like I think for so much of life, I just was like, well, all right, I got to plan all the work stuff. I got to plan all the to-dos. I got to plan all the checklist things. I got to plan all of the productivity. I got to plan all of the how-tos. And then for some reason, just assume that all of the like parts of life that are actually worth doing all of those things for would just happen, as opposed to, oh, I should like, maybe if there's something I want to do, then I should like discipline myself to set that in stone or that in the calendar or that in the relationship first. And then know that I have a thing to look forward to, as opposed to just being frustrated at the end of every day when I haven't gotten to the thing that I thought might be kind of cool to do. And it's just work 24/7, or it's just,
wow,
you know? So like, and I remember learning about that a long time, like the first, we're talking about books and reading, which is for so much of my life just been like the entrance into another way of thinking or another world or like an alternative option. And I remember back before Donald Miller was just selling StoryBrand all the time, he wrote this book about basically just like living a better story. And he talked about like, just sort of the intentionality that it takes, not just to do the crap work, but to like go on the cross country bike ride, or to go on the vacation with your wife that you keep thinking is just going to happen if you keep on accomplishing these things without ever putting that in the calendar and having a goal to work toward, So I think stuff like that for me lately has just been like, I'm really grateful for the last decade of life and being an adult and getting to do touring and things like that too. But I don't really want to live the next decade the same way that I've lived this one, which feels a lot more reactionary, if I put it into words, it feels a lot more like reacting to something as opposed to being proactive about the way that I know it's an everybody thing, but from one person who toured for a long time to another, for me, I just feel like there've been so many times where I just feel like life is happening to me, and that's it. And for me, it's so easy to get stuck there and just be like, what is the point of doing all of these? What is the point of reacting to all of this stuff all the time? Like, I want to feel like I have some form of agency in this existence.
Yeah, I think that's it's more empowering than I think a lot of people realize.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the idea of like a lot of us, it feels like we're taught mostly we were trained about life mostly in the school of what not to do. And so I don't think it's weird to feel like I'm reacting to not that.
Yeah.
A lot of us get that, you know,
Totally.
But I think the idea of saying like, I said this the other day to Chris, I think this is actually like the birth of no for me in a whole lot of areas that I didn't have before, where I'm like, oh yeah, like, no, like I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
No, I won't be about that anymore.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm not going to put up with that anymore. Like whatever it is, it was just like, and I could call it a reaction, or I could actually look at it and go, no, like my no actually, well, I've got friends and mentors that would say like, you know, your no actually opens up the possibility for bigger yes to all the stuff that's actually important. And so,
and I think for me, maybe a part of it too is just learning that I can ascribe importance to things like, well, maybe that's the end of the sentence, but just feeling like, okay, what is important? You know, like one of the huge questions that I had and that me and Brandy had at the end of, or at the beginning of last year, when my no looked like, no, I'm not going to go back out on the road again, because I'm just in a really unhealthy, always on pattern of constantly like going. And so I felt like, you know, I had some friends at the time who like they wanted to help me do what I wanted to do, but then they needed me to answer, well, what the hell do you want to do then? And I had no idea. I still have no idea how to answer that question. I don't know what I want to do. I didn't even know that I had a choice, kind of. I mean, and that's weird to say, because it's like, oh, but you've been doing this art thing. Like, oh, it's so creative. You've lived your dream. It's like, I've like lived a dream, and that's not the same thing as I'm not like ungrateful for it, but but when it comes to dreaming, I have no idea how to do that. And so in order to start saying no to stuff, I have to know what that is, or I have to know what the things I want to say yes to are. And it's just been insane to be like in now my early 30s, realizing I don't have any idea how to even answer I don't know how to dream. How do I dream? And so a lot of the last year has been some of that too, you know, and it goes back and forth, because it's like, well, this is sort of it. And also, I've sort of done this for a really long time. Like, what is all I'm going to do? And I don't think so, you know? So I don't know. We'll how old are you?
I'm 39. I'm going to be 40 in January.
Yeah. When did you stop? When did you stop touring?
We stopped 2018.
Okay.
We played our last show of February of 2018. So it was 12 years. And then it was
when did you start doing other things? And what has that been like? I mean, are you doing what you want to be doing?
Okay. Yes and no.
Yeah.
Yes and no. I think that's the great trade-off. But I've been, and I had the conversation with a mentor in 2013. She said, what do you do for fun? And I was like,
nothing.
No idea. She's like, yeah, everything you do turns into a job.
Yes.
She's like, why do you feel so undefined, do you think? And I was like, I don't know, because I'm busy, because I'm like, you know, whatever. So I think in general, we are performers, we are creative, and we've been living in that blend of where art and commerce meet, which adds a different energy to the whole thing. So I think the idea of discovering, and I think this happens for people that work factory jobs too, is they begin to scan the horizon and go, I don't want to be here in 20 years and never have that. We have the other thing where it's like, our significance has come from being in the adventure that other people maybe think is a thing, and maybe it is and maybe it isn't. And so I think the idea for us is finding our significance in our life versus finding our significance in the performance. And that's why I think, I think you're just in a beautiful spot, because I would say what's really happening is, what I believe is that everybody is going from poverty to wealth. Like, everyone has an opportunity in this life to shed a scarcity or a poverty mentality and come into a wealth of either time, relationship, meaning, community, spirituality. But like, you're shedding. I hustled for my worthiness. I hustled for I performed for the thing, and I'm coming into, but who am I apart from all of that? Yeah. The forced stillness of, it's wild to be, Anyway, so I think that's the paradox, right? Like, I had a guy tell me, everyone talks about this like in Christian language. I said this to the Rev kids a year ago when we were at the gathering. And I said, in between, everyone talks about like, I'm going to go to the next level in my life, or I'm going to go to a different level in my life. And what I think a lot of people aren't realizing in the time is, between paradigm one of I'm on stage and I'm doing my dream, and this I could not imagine in 2009 that I would be supporting my family. I'd be like, Brandy and me would be like married. We'd have this home. She's doing this stuff. I'm doing it. Yeah. Like, between that level and a whole nother level of fulfillment and connection, between paradigm one and paradigm two is paradox. Yeah. And it's the space of, this is what this guy was telling me. It's the space of irreconcilable opposites. Yeah. How can I be so fulfilled and yet not? Yeah. Yeah. Right. And if I can reconcile what these things mean, then I get the next level. And I think a lot of people, they don't want to sit in the irreconcilable opposite. Yeah. And that's the beauty of having people speak into our lives and go, when I'm weak, then I'm strong. Like, and we're like, oh my God. Or, that's the what is it? The duality thinking, that. Yeah. It's like the either or. It's like, no. Yeah. Both and. Yeah. Because, Maxwell Montgomery, Matty Montgomery, I call him the Reverend Bishop Apostle Maxwell. Of course you do. Yeah. I have a thing with long names. Oh, I didn't notice. But he said to me, like, for him, he said something similar a couple months ago, because I had him praying for us just because we were just, going through a bunch of stuff. And I just asked for his prayer. I was like, if you just keep me in your brain, that'll be really cool. So he said, what's interesting about where we've come from, Tommy, is like, the more significant you are, the more you are away from home. And he said, and the coolest ones of us got to be on the road all the time. Yeah. And he's like, and I didn't realize until like 2 years ago how awesome it was to just be home for dinner with my family. Yeah. Right? Like, so that simple. Yeah. That's becoming sort of significant for him. Mundane. Yeah. Yeah. The holy and the ordinary, all of it, man. And so how can both be true? That, like, for people that are so sick and tired of having dinner with their family, and all they want to do is be on stage in Tupelo, Mississippi for 9 kids on like it's like, how is that both true? It's like, it just is. So I don't think you're off. And I love where you are in terms of like, am I missing it? Because like, how could I be, I'm so undefined. And I'm like, well, I just think you've been very well defined in one area. And if we really are the garden of God, if we really are these gems, if we really are, it's like, we have to give ourselves permission to be both holy and to be both ordinary, right? To be divinely human, bro. Yeah. You know how it is. But I'm saying, I had the same question. She's like, what do you do? And I'm like, I have no idea. Like, totally. It's all obligation, and it all feels, and that's a scarcity mindset. It is. And there's a lot in there. And so to go from, like, I need to make different decisions and I get to be in charge. Like, life isn't happening to me. Right. Wow. That's a powerful mind shift. I like that very much, to hear that from you. Yeah. Because I know it was really painful for me. I felt like, it led me out of ministry in a certain way. Yeah. I mean, that's terrifying to be like, oh no. I'm like the guy. I'm like the God guy in the scene. And I just got to tell you, my future is bigger than that box. Oh my God, that was the box. Like, so.
No, that's good. It's funny about the scarcity mindset. I feel like a thing I've said to myself and sometimes others for a while is this idea of like how we're most critical of others about the things that we dislike most about ourselves. And sometimes that's conscious and sometimes it's unconscious, but I feel like I've done a decent amount of sales and marketing work over the last 5 or 6 years, just like on the side, trying to keep different things afloat. And on the one hand, I really like aspects of it because I think like if you actually have a thing that you want people to see, then fantastic. Let's get people excited about that thing. Like, it's not like we don't do that. It's not like I don't want somebody to buy the book I'm putting out or whatever. Like I'm going to do some work on the like marketing part of that. But like I cringe at and hate just like that so much of that world is so rooted in scarcity and it's so rooted. I mean, the entirety of all of it is just like, how do I figure out how to market well without like becoming a groveling panderer, scarcity, figure it out, like not even just in my own mind about myself, but to others. Like how do you do this without like threatening the loss of a thing or what? And that's something I'm always trying to figure out because it's just like, I hate it. But I recognize that part of the reason that I hate it is because like it's so much of the mentality that I've functioned within for such a long time. Like you were talking about that sense of obligation and that sense of like this is like, so I remember at the very beginning of LTP, whenever I first started touring, I remember it so distinctly. Brandy and I were house sitting at a spot and we were talking specifically about identity. And I remember telling her, no, my identity isn't in this. And I think about that shit all the time. You are lying to yourself if you think that your identity isn't completely like rooted in this thing. You are a liar. And the longer you lie to yourself, the worse it's going to get. And I feel like literally in the last year, have I finally started to understand more about what the phrase, the truth will set you free, actually means for right here and right now. I really feel like that. And some of that's ethereal and eternal, and that's all great. And some of it's just hella pragmatic. Like, just tell yourself the truth and the only way out is through it,
Yeah. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Dang. Okay. All right. I like that very much. Well, okay. So let me ask you this question before I gotta let you go.
Yeah. Well, it's more like before your son has to get on his video call with his friend. He's got to do what we're doing right now.
We just got to do it, bro.
Yeah.
What's something when we hear this, like say, try to end like this most of the time, but if the Rev kids or anybody that's going to listen to this podcast, if they've got their heart in you and Brandy's direction, what's something they can be believing for you guys?
Can you rephrase that? What do you mean believing for?
Yeah, man. Praying, hoping, setting intention for, or just wishing upon a star.
Yeah. I mean, I really am. I'm bad at like great answers to that kind of question, but a thing that comes to mind is just talking about like the fun that we were saying earlier. Like I want to know what it's, and both of us, like, I just think that I have spread I don't know. It's hard to not talk about it in the negative, and it is this paradox. I feel as though I just really want to experience like the depth of like fun and all that our relationship is or can be. Some of that's happened through like learning to set some boundaries. I just feel like I've given a lot of myself to a whole lot of people that aren't just Brandy. And sometimes I feel like I do that more for them than I do for Brandy. Wow. And I want, and that's not like a pity party thing, but there has been this longing in me that's just like, man, I don't want, like you talk about everything being a business, everything being it's like part of the reason that me and Brandy stopped doing as much of LTP together as we had for a long time is because we were both sick of like being more business partners than married people, you know? And we've moved away from that, but I just like, I would love to see that flourish and grow more and more. Cause I just think like, we're not unhappy with the way that things are, but I do think that there's always a kind of longing there that's like, let's kind of get to the root of what's important. And for us, that's us, or, you know, her. And I want her to like feel that from me as well. So I don't know how well or succinct, that wasn't succinct in any means, but I just like, I long for the flourishing and depth of our relationship to continue forward. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to say prayer words for you real quick. And then,
all right, man.
That's awesome. Thank you, Levi. Love you.
Love you.
Okay. So Father, I just pray for Levi and for Brandy. Thank you, God, for their journey. Thank you for their history and for the lessons that they've learned. I really pray for Levi that, like many of us, he's on this journey of discovering his identity, his self-worth, his intrinsic value apart from anything he does, but also connected to all the things that he wants to do and the things that he's good at and the things that he sucks at. And so, God, I pray that you just continue to reveal the core identity of who Levi is and allow him to begin to see himself in the mirror of others, in the mirror of your face, God, in the mirror of his marriage and his relationship and friendship with his wife. And God, I just pray for their flourishing. I pray that this would be the birth of fun in a new way for him in his life. And that you'd actually help him discover stuff that he would thrive on the inside, but had no idea that was even possible. And that it's nobody else's business, that like, it really truly is like an inside job for him. And so I just thank you, Lord, for that. I pray that you'd help him to hack his way out of any kind of poverty mindset or scarcity mindset as it pertains to meaning and life and time and joy. And I just pray that you'd give him and Brandy like radical joy in their connection, that their marriage and their connection together would grow deeper than they ever thought possible. And just bless his life. I pray blessings over his book. I really pray that his book like makes a huge impact and that it does sell like tens of thousands of copies and it charts, and he could look at me and be like, yo, I was like trying to get away from doing like good and like all this stuff. And then it like happened. And so I'm praying that because he's saying, I want what's real, God, I want wisdom, that you would give him riches in this area and that you would give him credibility and new ways to communicate with people. And I pray you bless his business as an amazing creative voice and artist. And I pray that the money would be there. And I pray that the freedom to be himself and break rules and do stuff different would always be at his right hand. And thank you, God, for the disruptive nature that you've put inside of him. And so I just pray blessing over him and his life, and just ask for you to give him favor in Jesus' name. All right, then. Fine, then. Amen. I love you a lot. Can we talk again sometime?
Yeah, it'd be great. This took forever, and I'm sorry for my part on that, but I'm glad it worked out, dude.
So if people want to find you, where do they find you?
At Levi the Poet. At Levi the Poet, whatever. Yeah, just search Levi the Poet. That's how.
Okay. I'm gonna search Levi the Poet, find him.
I mean, LeviThePoet.net is the website, and all of the handles for all of the things are Levi the Poet. So cool. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you. Thank you.
Say hi to your family. I gotta figure out getting up to Salt Lake, man. We've got a wedding to go to.
Come up, bro.
I know, man.
All right. Love you a lot. I'll talk to you soon.
Love you too, dude. Bye.
Hey, you guys, Tommy Green here. Just want to say thank you again for listening to this episode of the Rev Talks podcast. Our hope with each and every episode is that it would encourage you, maybe give you a reason to have a laugh, expand your capacity on the inside to love and empathy, appreciation, hopefully make your world just a little bit bigger and give you faith, hope, for the future. If you like what you heard, again, please share, subscribe, give us a good rating, give us some good feedback. Over all of this, thank you so much for taking us with you in a small part of your day, on the drive, on the run, just as you're going about your day. Thank you so much for sharing some time of your life with us on this podcast. To connect with us, you can email us again at theREVgatehrings.com, and we will see you on the next episode. Love you guys. Bye.